Hello friends, my name is Shayla and today I'm here to film a book haul for you. So as you guys know, I've already done my manga haul for the fourth quarter of 2019. I will leave that linked in the card symbol for you if that's what you're looking for. But this is just going to be physical books. I will have a digital haul coming in the next video as well. So you will get all of the digital things, digital arcs, digital manga, all of that together in one video. So let's go ahead and dive right in because this stack is massive. This is a little more than the fourth quarter. We've also got the first half of January in there. So it's intense. Remember, it was Christmas. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in. So I'm going to start with the smallest size, the mass markets, and work our way up in size. So first up, I've got Stygian here by Sherilyn Kenyon. This is part of the Dark Hunter series. I really tend to like her really long form stories. I know I have a couple more that I need to collect in the series before this. I'm trying to track them down for cheap, and this one finally came out in a mass market and I've heard amazing things about it, so I'm really excited to continue on in the Dark Hunter series. It's been a minute since I've been in the world and I've missed it, so I'm definitely diving in soon. Next we have Lulu's Cafe by T.I. Lowe. I don't know too much about this. I found this for really cheap at my local used bookstore. On the top it says, "Some scars don't ever heal," she whispered, "no matter how awfully bad you want them to. They're just too deep." So I know this one's going to be a little more emotional for me and be something that I potentially revisit over and over again because I tend to really like hard-hitting contemporary, as long as it doesn't go to certain places. There are a couple of triggers that I personally have, but yes. And it was published in 2019. They like to put a sticker and let you know when it was published. So yes, this one entered my collection very recently. These two, I'm not going to show you what they are. There's a video coming. It's an experiment style video. So just know that this is a thing and there are two mass markets for it. Next up we have Sunshine by Robin McKinley. Again, this isn't one I know too much about. I trust April from over April Sarah. She really enjoyed this one. It's one of her favorite Robin McKinley's, and I really like Robin McKinley's writing. So I really want to dive in and try this one for sure. And again, it was one that I found at my local used bookstore for cheap. So if I don't end up liking it, it'll probably just go back to the used bookstore. But yeah, I'm really excited to give this one a read. Next up, we've got a batch that came from Forever Romance. Forever Romance is kind enough to have me on the review team, and I find a lot of titles and a lot of authors that I really end up enjoying through her. So I'm going to blitz through what they've sent me, and I've talked about some of them, not all of them. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in. So first up, we have Snowbound at Christmas by Debbie Mason. This was one that I read during 'Tis the Season-a-thon, so if you want more thoughts, you can check out that video. Then we have Lethal Redemption by April Hunt. This is a mystery thriller style romance. I would say more mystery than thriller, but it's really good at amping up the intensity in the novels, and I tend to really like April Hunt's writing, and they're usually very smexy, so yes, they're a good time. Then we've got Born to be a Cowboy by R.C. Ryan. This is obviously a cowboy romance. And this is one where a local cowboy is also the local attorney. And this one woman who lives an hour away randomly shows up in his town looking for her aunt, who randomly got married to this guy after not knowing him for very long, but has not come back to her ranch, which is very atypical of her. So he kind of helps her figure out what's going on, and a romance blooms between them. It's really great. I really enjoyed it. Next we have A Christmas Bride by Hope Ramsey. This one actually didn't show up until January. There was a hang up of some sort in the printing, I think, or in the shipping. I don't remember. But either way, all of the reviewers got this a little bit late. I'm not sure if I'm going to try to read it soon, like in February as like a romance, or wait until like next winter season to read it as a Christmas novel. If you'd like to see it sooner rather than later, let me know in the comments below. Next we have Forever in a Duke by Grace Burrows, which I just recently read during Smutathon, so I will leave that linked for you so you can get my thoughts on this book there. And then we have Rocky Mountain Heat, which I also read during Smutathon. This is a cowboy romance. I get teased a lot in the manga community about this cover, but anyways, it's a long story and one of those live streams you had to be there kind of moments. But either way, Rocky Mountain Heat, I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend checking out the series as a whole. I do plan on reading other books in this series as well. Then we have Don't Breathe a Word by Christine Craig. This is again another mystery, thriller, murder mystery kind of story. And we've got a neighbor who shows up next door after a man has been widowed for a couple years. And things start to bloom across the fence, but she has secrets, obviously, and someone's after her, and it's good. Really, really good. Highly recommend. Next, we have All I Want for Christmas Is You, which is obviously a Christmas romance. This one does deal with a accidental pregnancy trope, but you find out she's pregnant in the beginning of the story, so you kind of already know that's there. And these are long-established friends, so it's a friends to lovers romance. And I really enjoyed it. This is one where the pregnancy trope didn't bother me. So I know that that's a trope a lot of people hate. So you're starting out at the beginning of the novel with her pregnant, and you're not doing like flashbacks really, because these are characters that you've been following for a little while. And yeah, anyways, I love this series a lot. It's a small town romance series, and I hope you guys check it out. Next, we have A Cowboy for Christmas, which again is a very similar to the previous one style pregnancy trope Christmas romance. I do think I prefer All I Want for Christmas Is You over A Cowboy for Christmas, just for certain aspects within the story, but this one is still good in its own right, and I would recommend checking it out, as long as that trope doesn't bother you. And then last, for the mass market paperbacks, we have Total Bravery by Piper J. Drake. These are like undercover secret ops kinds of things. They go into like smuggling rings and all sorts of stuff. They can get pretty intense, but the smut's really good. And I really like how she develops her characters throughout whatever circumstances they're going through. So this is another one where I recommend checking out the series. It's a True Heroes series by Piper J. Drake. I've read 3 in this series now, and I've really enjoyed all of them. I've got another one to read on my NetGalley list, so I'm hoping to get to that this week. Alrighty, now that we've finished the mass markets, let's dive into the next round, which are kind of the trade paperback YA hardback size. So first up is a fairy tale retellings collection anthology called A Bit of Magic. These are by local authors in my area, and you guys know me and retellings, and there's beautiful little illustrations at the beginning of each, and so I am really excited to give this a try and check out some local authors. I think they're all listed in the front. Either way, it's a collection of short stories by local authors, and it's one that I'm excited to read. Next on the stack, we have Would Like to Meet by Rachel Winters. This is an office-style romance, I believe, and I've heard it's just super cute. I don't know too much about it because I haven't read it yet, but I do intend to read this soon. If not in January, then hopefully in February. Next, we have The Blacksmith Queen by G.A. Aiken. I found this in the romance section, but the top here says, when a prophecy brings word to the hill lands, Keely Smith must join forces with a clan of mountain warriors in a thrilling new fantasy romance series from New York Times bestseller G.A. Aiken. So fantasy and romance is a thing I'm loving at the moment. So I'm really hoping to get to this one soon, maybe in February. I'm hoping to have a pretty heavy romance month in February, even though I've read a lot of romance this month. It's a mood, it's a thing. Just go with me for the moment, but this is one that's high on my list I really want to get to soon. Next, we have Ravenous by Helen Hart. This is one that came out this fall in the last quarter, but I only read it during Smudathon. So if you want my full thoughts there, get it, but know that this, I would definitely put trigger warnings for most things, but especially for self-harm, because in this particular novel, our character who had dealt with self-harm in the past has a bit of a relapse. Thankfully, it's not too graphic, but it could be triggering to someone because you're in her head for a bit and see her get to the point where she self-harms again. So I have to put that trigger out there because it is a big trigger for a lot of people. So if that is something that is triggering to you, stay clear of this last trilogy in the Steel Brothers saga. But this is book 11. Book 12 is technically out next week, but I found an early copy. I don't have it in the stack here, but I think it's downstairs. Anyways, I'll just include it in the next haul. But yes, I really enjoy this series, probably more than I should. Next up, we have the first Christmas gift in the stack, and that is the Bromance Book Club and Undercover Bromance. These were kindly sent to me by my friend Melanie from over at Mel to the Any. Anybody that I mentioned in this video will be linked down below. And this was one of my favorite romances of 2019. I had bought my own copy, but I'm sending on my own copy and keeping the copy that Mel sent me. And then she kindly sent me the arc of Undercover Bromance, which is out in March. I read this during Smudathon. So if you want my thoughts, check out that video. I do plan on doing a dedicated video to this, and I also plan on reading it again and annotating it and taking better notes for a very thorough review. I recently got approved for the NetGalley arc as well, so I think I'll just annotate it in my Kindle and do that as well. So just know that these are both amazing. Lyssa Kay Adams is slowly working her way into a new favorite author for me with this series, and I'm really excited to see what else she does with the series. Next, we have Meg and Joe by Virginia Cantra. And this is a contemporary, modern-day Little Women story. You know, they're even called the March Sisters, so I believe it's a direct retelling, and I'm having a moment where I just want to reread Little Women, so I'm thinking this might fit the bill for me. We'll see. No, I have not seen the new movie Before You Ask. I'm having mixed feelings about seeing the new movie, so we'll see if I see it in theaters or not. I'm thinking I'll just wait till that one's out. Next we have Forest of a Thousand Lanterns and Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix, both by Julie Sudao. There's a book later in the stack by Julie Sudao that I read and loved the writing of, so I really wanted to try out this series. I believe that one actually ties into this, but I didn't know that before I went in. So I do intend to read these so that I fully understand the other one in the stack, and you'll know which one that is when we get to it. But yes, so I got these on Book Outlet for cheap, so I'm really, no, Steve got me these. Yes, Steve got me these because he's the best. And yes, I'm really excited to dive into them soon. Next up, I have a copy of The Sword in the Stone by T.H. White. Sword in the Stone was an older Disney film that I really loved and still do to this day. And so I really wanted to read the source material, and they had this beautiful copy on Book Outlet, so I thought I would pick this one up and give it a read. Now we have What to Say Next by Julie Buxbaum. My friend Murphy over at Murphy Napier, she read this, absolutely loved it, and it surprised her a lot. And she and I have similar tastes in a lot of ways in books, so I'm trusting her recommendation to read this one, and I'm hoping to read it relatively soon as well. And yes, most of the ones I haven't read I want to read soon. Just know that. I'll probably say that 100 times in this video, so I'm sorry in advance. So we have From Twinkle with Love by Sonia Menon. Earlier in the year, I read There's Something About Sweetie, and I really enjoyed it. And I liked her writing, and so I wanted to try this one. I wasn't interested in Dimple and Rishi's story, because we see them in There's Something About Sweetie, and I just wasn't interested in their story. But From Twinkle with Love, this one looked interesting to me, so I'm definitely interested. Then we have Infinity by Sherilyn Kenyon. This is the first book in the Chronicles of Nick series. This ties in to the Dark Hunter series, and I'm pretty deep into the Dark Hunter series, and I know a lot about this character, Nick, and so I'm really interested to see her take on Nick's perspective and kind of all of the events going on in this series. So I'm really excited. Just very, very excited. Next up, we have Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. Earlier this year, I read Permanent Record and loved it, and I really liked Choi's writing, and so I really wanted to try out her debut work. Everybody says they don't like this one as much as they like Permanent Record, so I'm not expecting to love it like I loved Permanent Record, but I still want to support the author and give it a chance. So yeah, Emergency Contact is here. I might have already hauled this one, but I couldn't remember, so I put it on the stack anyway, and that is Stormrise by Gillian Boehm, Boehm. And this is obviously a fantasy with dragons. It's pretty short. I believe it's dealing with a female would-be leader. I think she's trying to be forced into a political marriage. I don't remember all of the things, but it feels like a very traditional fantasy in a lot of ways, but it has dragons, so why not try, right? Right. Next on the stack, we have Sisters of Shadow and Light by Sarah B. Larson. I love Sarah B. Larson's Defy series, and I really liked her Swan Lake inspired series as well. So I really wanted to try out this one. I don't remember if this one ties into a fairy tale or not, but part of me wants to say that it does. I can't remember for sure. But just know that this is coming soon because it's eaten at me that I haven't read it yet. Next on the stack, we have another gift, and that is Odd and True by Kat Winters. My girl April over at April Sarah sent this to me. We're planning on buddy reading this, and I believe this one, it gave us the vibe of Sisters Read by Jackson Pierce. And that was in a fairy tale retelling series that we buddy read a long time ago. But I believe it's another kind of Red Riding Hood inspired story. I'm not 100% sure on that origin, but it was giving off that similar vibe, so we want to definitely try it. We might tie it in to Tell It Again, I don't know, because we're kind of doing a project here for a little bit, so we might just buddy read it anyway. We'll see. Next we have Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. I know a lot of people have read this and it made their best of 2019 list. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I've had a lot of backlist things I've been trying to get to and some things like that, so this one is high on my list to get to soon. And this is a spin-off to the Raven cycle. This is book 1 in the new Dreamers trilogy, in which we're following Roman primarily. So I'm interested to see how I feel once I get into it. Next we have The Girl King by Mimi Yu. This is an Asian-inspired fantasy. I don't know. I don't remember the part of Asia that we're in. But I remember hearing a lot of buzz about this and then not hearing much after that. So I don't know if just people haven't gotten to it yet or what, but I really want to read this one because it sounds really interesting. You know, about a girl trying to take the throne. Like, I'm all for girl power stories. All right, the next two go together. So we have Rise of Empire and Heir of Navran, volumes 2 and 3 of the Rhaeria Revelation series. I finally got to Theft of Swords in December, and I absolutely adored it. So I immediately picked up the next two, and I intend to get to these sooner rather than later. One thing that helped me with these, if you're struggling to get into some bigger fantasies, is I was listening to the audiobook as I was actually reading, and that helped me get through the tough parts, like establishing characters and stuff. But I'm so invested in Royce and Hadrian at this point that I fully expect to just kind of binge these pretty quickly. So expect these on the channel soon. Next up, we have Legend Undone by Angie Day. This is one that I believe showed up in my Bubbles and Books box for December. And it's definitely on that urban fantasy romance legends kind of era. I don't know if we're 100% sure, and I don't like to read too much of the back on a romance. So I don't have too much, but I believe it's indie published. Yeah, I believe this one's indie published, so I'm excited to give an indie author some love. Next, we have a January release, and that is The Night Country by Melissa Albert. I did enjoy the Hazelwood, and I liked where the story was headed, so I'm really interested to see how book 2 in the series goes. I don't know if it's just a duology, but again, this is one that I'm excited to get to. As I said, I would be saying like 1,000 times in this video. Also in January, we have The Nameless Queen by Rebecca McLaughlin. I think it's one of those, everyone was supposed to be on the throne except her, but I think like there's slowly everybody's been eliminated and she's the one left on the throne and nobody knows who she is and all those kinds of things. So I'm not 100% sure. I don't know too much. I do know it's YA, so it'll go pretty quickly. There will most likely be some sort of romantic element to it, but again, exciting. This one might have been in the last haul as well, but I can't remember for sure, so I'm going to haul it. And that is Dragon Watch, Master of the Phantom Isle by Brandon Mull. This is one that I want to buddy read with Connor over at Connor O'Brien. I know he's been busy and I've been busy, so we just need to find time to read it together. And so we're hoping to do that soon. Then we have The Never Tilting World by Rin Chapeko. This, Rin Chapeko is a Filipino author, and I know that this is another fantasy that made some people's top of 2019 list. And it's one I just haven't gotten to yet. I'm hoping to get to it very, very soon. And because this is one that I wanted to get to before 2019 ended and life happened and it didn't happen. So I'm hoping to get to this very, very soon. Next, we have one of the most adorable books I've read all year, and that is 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston. This is a YA Christmas romance in which a young girl walks in on her boyfriend discussing with his friend that he wants to break up with her. She takes that as, okay, we're breaking up. And as she goes to visit her family, she tells them that they're broken up. And so they all line her up on 10 blind dates. Some of the dates are really funny. Some of the dates are really sweet. And for me, the romance could have gone one of two ways. I'm fine with the way it went, but I would have been fine if it was the other way too. So yes, this was cute. Absolutely fun. Definitely pick it up next holiday season if you didn't pick it up in this one. Or pick it up now for cheap because, you know, Christmas books. Another one that I got at the used bookstore that's kind of been on my radar for a little bit, and that's The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I haven't read too much Jennifer L. Armentrout, but I've kind of liked what I've read, so I wanted to give this one a try since I found it for so cheap at my local used bookstore. I got it for like $3 or $4, so And it was in good condition. So we'll see how I feel. And again, this is one that might have been in my previous haul, but I couldn't remember, so I just threw it in here. And that is A Dress for the Wicked by Autumn Krause. This is one that has a big, like, sewing element to it, if I remember right. I don't know if this has got, like, a Project Runway kind of feel to it as well. My brain can't remember, I'm sorry. But yes, definitely looking forward to this one. And then last for this size is Don't Keep Your Day Job, How to Turn Your Passion into Your Career. I'm currently reading this and currently enjoying it. It's just a self-help from a creative soul. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying it so far. I plan on, the goal was to read a chapter a day until I finish, but I've not read too much in it recently. But I do intend to get back to this soon. Life's just been busy. All right, now we're on to the final size, which is the big size, which is like adult hardback size and like book of the month size. So first up on this deck, we have A Crown of Wishes by Roshani Chokshi, or Chokshi. I never say her last name right. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry, Roshani. I am the worst. But this is, I think it was originally published as the sequel to, what's it called? The Star Touched Queen. But yes, I am really just excited to get more of Roshani's writing. I really enjoy what she does. Next, we have Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. I have a whole reading vlog dedicated to my thoughts on this, so I will leave that linked. And just know that I loved and adored this. One of my favorite reads of 2019. I love this series so much. I'm a little sad we're not going to get any until like 2021, possibly 2022. But that means I get Stormlight in between, so I'm okay. Next on the list, we have the Guinevere Deception, which was one of the biggest surprises for me this year. I have a love-hate relationship with Kirsten White, but I always love her writing. I love this story a whole lot. If you have not read this, I highly recommend that you do. It does have some LGBT elements thrown into it, and it is Arthurian legend retold, in which Guinevere is not actually Guinevere. So that's all I'm going to tell you. Then I have The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This book is an absolute masterpiece. It is a beautiful story about someone who finds this book out of place in the library, and as they're reading it, they find parts of themselves within the book and all of the stories that unravel from there. It does switch back and forth between several different perspectives throughout the novel, so maybe use the audiobook as well as this to tie things together a little easier if you get lost in books. But I didn't need that. Morgenstern's writing is just as beautiful in this one, if it is not as it is in The Night Circus. It is very purple prose, so if you don't love purple prose, you might not love this one like I do, so just know that going in. Next we have An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. One of my favorite reads of last year was The Sorcery of Thorns, so I thought I would give her debut work a try. I do wish we had a little more time to flesh certain things out within the story. I felt like this could have done a lot better with like an extra 100 pages to flesh out some of those parts that needed a little bit more. And it still would have been just as engaging and just as enjoyable. So Margaret Rogerson is someone that I will continue to check out as she continues to release books. And I think she would benefit really well from like a longer running series as well. So I hope we get one of those from her soon. Next on the list, we have Upon the Flight of the Queen by Howard Andrew Jones. This is book 2 in the, I don't remember which series, but the first book is For the Killing of Kings. I do have a dedicated review to the first one, so I will leave that linked up there, down there, linked wherever you can find the links. And this is one that I really loved and enjoyed. I enjoyed this second book just as much as I enjoyed the first. It was very fast-paced, very action-packed, just like book 1, and it's really enjoyable. Highly recommend the series as a whole. And then we have Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. No one's surprised to see this on my list. I really enjoyed the conclusion to the Folk of the Air series. I still think Wicked King is my favorite book in the series, as I said in my favorites of 2019, but this was still good. It was still fun. I know a lot of people didn't love the ending, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yes, check out the Folk of the Air series. And then we have A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kemmerer. This is book 2 in a duology. The first book was A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Again, one of my favorites of 2019. I'm currently reading this one, currently loving this one. This is primarily following Gray, and it's so good, guys. It's so good. I'm so excited. So yes, definitely check out this series if you haven't. This is our Tell It Again book club pick for January. That live show is this upcoming Sunday. And yes, definitely check it out. And I believe everything remaining on the stack are my Book of the Month books that I've gotten in October, November, December, and January, because my January picks are already here. So first on the list, we have Oasis by Katya de Becerra. And this is a dystopian style story. And on the back it says, the Oasis saved them, but who will save them from the Oasis? So I don't know if this is like holodeck simulation style dystopian moment or what. Either way, it looked intriguing. I'm definitely into it. Next we have Thrill Like a Girl by Sarah Henning. This is obviously a girl playing football, high school, YA, contemporary style story. It just looked adorably cute, so I picked it up. Next is Song of the Crimson Flower by Julie C. Dow. This is what prompted me to pick up her other 2 books, and I absolutely adored this. It was so beautiful, and I really loved the writing, so I'm going to check out her other works. But this is one that's inspired by another tale, an Asian tale. I don't remember which one. But anyways, they're basically tied together and they have to do a trial. It's really good. I really like it. I wish it were a little longer, but it was still beautiful. Next we have The Beautiful by Renee Audier. I loved this book. I know there's a lot of claims out there that this isn't really a vampire book, but it's there all along. I saw vampires right from the very beginning, so I don't know. This was either a love it or a hate it kind of style book, and I'm in the love it camp, so we'll definitely be continuing on. Next we have The Girl the Sea Gave Back by Adrienne Young. This is one that I sadly DNF'd. I did not enjoy, but I also found out later that this is book 2 in a series, and I'm pretty sure that's probably why I didn't enjoy it as much, but either way, it was just boring to me. I was not enjoying it and not understanding it, so. Next up we have Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is one that I read this fall and really enjoyed. I ended up getting an early copy and a review copy, and so I just picked up the Book of the Month copy, so I had a nice pretty hardback. And in this, we've got a lot of really good representation, and it's just so good. You guys have probably heard so many other reviewers talk about this very eloquently, but I am not that person. And essentially, we're following Chloe, who is ill, and she wants to stop living for her illness and wants to live life for herself. So she recruits the superintendent of her building to help her live life, do things like ride on the back of a motorcycle and things like that. And they have a little blooming budding romance. It's super cute. The next book in the series is about Chloe's sister Danny, and so I'm really excited for that one as well. Next up, we have Dangerous Alliance and Ostentatious Romance by Janique Cohen. Again, historical romance, and I believe it's very inspired by Austen works. So I'm really excited to get into this. It ticks a lot of really good boxes for me for historical, so I'm excited. 2 more books, we're almost there. Next up we have Heartstrings and Other Breakable Things by Jacqueline Firkins. And this just looked like an adorable high school first love almost kind of romance, so just looks cute. And then last but not least on this list is When We Were Vikings by Andrew David MacDonald. The plot on this one just sounded really good. And one of the characters' names is Zelda, so I was having a video game moment, I guess, as I read the description. So I thought I'd give this one a try. It looked really, really fun. All right, friends, so that is the physical book haul for the 4th quarter of 2019 and a little bit of 2020. Let me know in the comments down below some of your favorite things that you've picked up in the last quarter, and I will see you guys in my digital haul video.